Welcome to Global Investment Voice, your premier podcast for diving deep into the world of investment migration. Are you dreaming of a second or third passport? Then join us as we traverse the globe, exploring the ins and outs of the U.S. EB-5 immigrant investor visa, uncover the secrets of golden visas, and delve into the many residency and citizenship by investment programs. Each episode is packed with exclusive insights from top industry experts. Whether you're an investor, developer, or a visionary entrepreneur, we're here to guide you through the complexities of global investment migration. And who better to navigate this journey with than your hosts, the dynamic legal duo of this industry, Mona Shah and Rebecca Singh. Plus, hear directly from a lineup of global investment migration leaders. So, buckle up and tune in to Global Investment Voice, where your global investment journey begins and expands.
Rebecca, we have never opened an episode quite like this. Sam Bayat, you're joining us from Dubai, a city that was under a missile attack just hours ago. Sam, before we get into anything else, how are you?
Good evening from Dubai. We're Monday night here. I'm very well. It was quite an unusual weekend for Dubai. We are used to seeing regional tension on television, but this time we could feel part of it in real time. There were alerts, there were sound in the skies, and of course, a lot of messages on our phones. But what impressed me the most, honestly, was the people's behavior. I went to the mall, I went to the supermarket, and I didn't see any looting, no panic buying, no fights over basic goods. People were calm and respectful, and that was quite a discipline on how everyone was handling the situation, which reflects something very deep in the UAE, the ability for the UAE nationals, the locals as we call them, and the expats to coexist and to trust the system, even under stress.
Yeah, that's interesting to hear, Sam, because you would think in something where you are under missile attack, there would be chaotic behavior. You don't know where to go, what you're doing. Like, tell us, what did you feel when you were on the ground? Did you feel anything? Were people scared? Like you said, it seems like everyone just kind of took it as a normal day.
Well, look at it. It was not a pleasant experience, but it showed a lot of maturity in the society here.
Oh, Sam, I should add that your office isn't far from the Palm where that explosion was, right?
No, we're on Sheikh Zayed Road. So and my house is actually opposite, next to the World Trade Center. We have a beautiful swimming pool on the top on the 30th floor. So you can have a commanding view of everywhere around. It's almost a 360.
Were you close? How far away were you from the explosion?
Oh, it's not far. You can see it, but there was not an attack. It was these are some missiles that are being shot down, and some debris fell down. It's not like there was a deliberate attack, because there was some news that they had hit the Fairmont on the Palm, but that was not the case. It's
and how is your office and your team in Tehran? Have you been able to reach them?
Yeah, well, we stayed very close with our colleagues and friends in Tehran as much as possible. The mood, of course, is very mixed. On one side, there's fear, that's natural when strikes and uncertainty are present, but there's also emotional fatigue after years of sanctions, of economic pressures, and political tensions. I would describe it as a complicated rather than a one-dimensional issue. It's not just one factor. Of course, some people are worried about escalation, others are cautious, so it's a lot of mixed feelings. But the Iranians are sophisticated politically. They feel both hope and concern in the same time. And I guess we have to respect the complexity rather than reducing them to one, emotion.
Well, if I could just take it back for a moment, back to the UAE, because we know that the UAE is a very popular destination, not just for tourists, but for people like going there for the golden visa. Do you think that an episode like this is actually going to hurt the golden visa program?
I don't think so. I think Dubai is going to keep moving. Of course, there was concerns. Everybody was checking the news, calling family. But that, was funny. The city didn't freeze. Offices worked, banks functioned, flights were adjusted in an orderly way. Of course, the airport still closed, the airspace. But the business community has a remarkable continuity. Meetings moved online, but they happened. The government publicly praised the private sector for its resilience. Minister of Economy, they were always in touch with us. The level of confidence in institutions here should give a very strong signal to the investor that this is a place where, even under pressure, the economic engine is expected or is keeps running.
That's a little different from what we've been hearing on the news. Rebecca, how was it in the UK? Because I understand there was some panic over there, considering how many Brits are in the UAE.
Yeah, I think it's the fact that everyone, you hear that everyone's trying to come out of Dubai, and it's kind of been a standstill, if I'm not mistaken, Sam, that...
Well, it is. It is. The airspace is closed. Obviously, the flights are canceled, so there's a lot of people. I think there's a lot of people stranded here because they want to go, and there's a lot of people want to come in. Of course, that's that because there are missiles going across the Persian Gulf here back and forth. Well, not back and forth. Actually, they're coming out mostly. And there's the defense system. But locally, sitting on the ground, I did go around. It's quite calm. And I think what people should be should tell the investors that the UAE takes crisis management seriously, and they've done a fantastic job. When you have an air defense system performing at the highest interception rate possible, and at the same time you have the Minister of Communication communicating the continuity of service, it shows that you're not depending on improvisation. There's planning, coordination, and a clear chain of command. For investors, that's critical.
It is. I did read, though, that the Jebel Ali port was targeted, and that's strategically one of the most important hubs in the area.
Yeah, but it's the rate of interceptions is so high. There was a few missiles that were able to get through, and the damage is minimum,
Yeah, I find that interesting because last night I was at a lecture and we were talking about journalism. And one person said that, they didn't want to go into this because incorrect information, not the right news are coming out. And so, we're hearing completely something different from what you're saying, Sam, from what we're hearing on the news and outlets, in that, this, it's not as chaotic, as I was saying earlier, as we had expected it to have been.
It is absolutely not chaotic because I went away. Our grocery store here, go to usually to, is Spinneys, and there was no lineup, people buying in panic. There was nothing like that. Zero, zero, zero. There was plenty of food on the shelves, and it was quite civil.
Yeah, right. We have a storm in New York and the food shelves go off. But let me move on, Sam, and really say, I do believe that this region now, I believe, is going to be changed. I believe that the whole issue of second citizenship, wherever, is going to be looked at differently. It's not so much a luxury anymore as a necessity.
I absolutely agree with you. If you look at the Golden Visa, how it was designed, the Golden Visa was designed for people who understand that the vault is volatile and they want a long-term anchor in its jurisdiction. They can manage it, think they're a farewell. After seeing how the UAE handled this situation, or how they are handling the situation, the defense performance, the communication, the clear communication, the social cohesion, I think many investors will feel even more comfortable with their residency here. And of course, I go back to what you said. It's not just the UAE golden visa. It's the golden visas in general. It's the golden passports in general. Is that overall planning?
I mean, you're still in touch, you said, with your staff in Tehran.
Yes.
Are you getting any messages or anything from anyone who's looking to come out right now? And if they are, as Iranian nationals, where can they go? There's so many countries are close to them.
These products, or how we help people, is not for you don't engage in it in the time of crisis. You can't get your documents. It's not, you can't come out.
Yeah.
So the message you get from Iran, for example, today is this panic. I mean, they're bombing everywhere. Somebody was telling me they're actually systematically bombing all the police stations.
Yes, I heard that this morning. Yep. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
There is active bombing campaign going on. So the reality on the other side is totally different than what's happening on this side. And we have to look at it from two perspectives. From the perspective of someone living in the UAE with a golden visa, I feel it's a safe place to be. I feel safe. Of course, there are some people here in the UAE, they're panicking and they've left the city, and I think they exaggerate. But The reality on the other side of the Persian Gulf is totally different. They're being bombarded by hundreds of missiles and airplanes and aircraft and everything. And their reality is different. But they should have plans, and they should have, foreseen visas, passports.
But at the same time, I mean, we deal with a lot of Iranians, and I know, of course, you deal so much with them. The Iranian people have wealth, they have education. They can go into so many amazing areas, from medicine, plastic surgeons and all the scientists, but to art and all of the cultural side. Is there a brain drain coming out of Iran right now? Do you see that happening?
Well, when you say now, means in the last days and the days to come, no. But the drain has happened over the years, from the revolution in the late 70s till now. There's been a tremendous immigration of the Iranian diaspora outside. When we moved to Canada in the early 70s with my parents, we moved to Montreal, and I think there were 69 families there living in Montreal. And today, I think we are nearly 200,000, and 400,000 or 500,000 in Toronto, probably 300,000-400,000 in Vancouver. So it's not the same thing. So obviously, these are wealthy people. These are smart people, educated people. But if we look at now, it's a different story.
Yeah. I mean, look, as you say, after a major crisis like this, you can't suddenly just jump into second citizenship. But a weekend doesn't create a demand for a second citizenship, but it does crystallize the need. I do feel that has happened from this weekend.
Yeah.
What I think the key lesson is not to rely on a single document for your entire life's strategy. If all your mobility, your banking, your business travel depends on one passport tied to one country, you're exposed to political risk you can't control, like today. For many clients, the layered approach makes sense. A long-term residency in a stable hub, for example, like the UAE, which is a golden visa. Then you add a layer of citizenship that enhance the mobility, provide some guarantees, and then if things deteriorate at home, like now.
I think that works too, Mana, in any country, really. I mean, even in the US, you think you have the strongest passport or you have the strongest nation, and still people are looking for that second citizenship. And I agree with you, Mana. I think this does crystallize it into what are the Iranians going to do in the future? Are they going to plan for that second passport? But I think that works anywhere right now.
Right. But Sam, what would you suggest for Iranians who might want to have a second citizenship right now? Where can they go?
At the moment, Iranians, they have a slight mobility situation where many traditional citizenship by investment programs either do not accept Iranians or impose severe restrictions and banking access to them. They're fairly limited. There's a new program, that's Saint Thome and Principe, a former Portuguese enclave. And they have an excellent program that do take Iranian. Dominica is taking Iranians in the Caribbean. So those are just too popular, I would say. That will give the Iranian a different identity, which then they can build on that, a golden visa, which would be either the UAE residency or maybe even a European golden visa, like Portugal, Spain, Greece, Hungary. Then that will give them access and more mobility.
It's just wonderful hearing your calm, confident voice, Sam. We were in panic when we thought, oh my God, Sam is in Dubai. Oh my God, is he going to be okay? But I do know that people in the region will have this fear, and you probably are getting a lot of calls at the moment at your office. What message do you want to get out for people in the region, not just your fellow Iranians, but perhaps people just in the whole MENA area?
Well, my message to clients in general is don't act out of panic, and also don't wait for everything to resolve by itself. Explore both solid regional residency program, for example, the UAE Golden Visa, and where possible, a second citizenship that is actually accessible to you. And of course, if you do apply for a second citizenship, this is not a betrayal of your country of origin.
Right.
It's a way to protect your family until the situation becomes better, where you can go and you can see your talent flourish freely.
That's a really good point, Sam. That second citizenship isn't a betrayal of your country.
Of course it's not. look at me. I got a few, and I'm still considered an Iranian, and by heart, I'm an Iranian. But I like to also say something else. I think this weekend had reinforces my confidence in the UAE as a place to live and work. I've seen how the society and the institutions behave under real pressure and gives me a reassurance. My own strategy is layered. My family has deep roots in Canada. I base my professional life here in Dubai, mainly in the UAE. And I have always been aware of additional options throughout residency, citizenship that works with every day. I'm not about running to another place from one place to another, but I think it's better to create flexibility in a scenario where you look at your family and your clients and you create choices.
Couldn't agree more with you, Sam. It's a difficult moment. It's a difficult time.
But, it's important to sit, but the most important step is to move from the vague anxiety of a concrete plan and wait for the next 30 days, sit down with someone who understands these issues and make a roadmap, about where you are, your current passport and residency, where your family members are located, and where your major asset and businesses are. And then you look at these things and you make a roadmap. And once the picture is clear, you can identify the weak points and discuss specific solutions.
Well, the area has been unstable for so many years. You have people who have lived their lives there. But what we would like to do, Sam, is perhaps revisit this whole topic in a few weeks and see, has this made a difference? Has this war made a difference?
Absolutely. I love to be on your podcast. And ladies, it's always a pleasure to speak to you guys.
It's always a pleasure, Sam, and be safe and let us know when you're able to get back home to Canada.
Well, I have I think in 2 days, I got a ticket. Hopefully the airport's going to open and I should be back with my kids, Montreal.
And that's a wrap on today's episode of Global Investment Voice. A huge thank you to all our listeners for tuning in and sharing this journey with us. Curious about unlocking the potential of global migration and citizenship? Make sure to visit us online at mshallah.com and globalinvestmentvoice.com. Dive into our extensive library of podcast episodes. Stay ahead with the latest in migration news by signing up for our insider newsletter. Don't forget to connect with us on social media. Find us on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook to keep the conversation going. Remember, the insights shared in our podcast are for informational purposes only, so please seek tailored legal, financial, or investment advice where needed. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, keep investing smart and living well with Global Investment Voice. We'll see you on the next episode.